Hi there and welcome to the Daily Arsenal News Show. Let's dive into today's top stories. Latest Gabriel Martinelli injury update after hamstring strain. Gabriel Martinelli missed Arsenal's 4-0 Champions League win over PSV Wednesday night after picking up a hamstring strain in the victory over Everton last weekend. During the Everton encounter, Martinelli was forced to exit the field in the first half, subsequently prompting a battery of diagnostic tests to gauge the extent of the damage. The timeline for Martinelli's return to action hinges predominantly on the severity of his hamstring injury, as reported by Football London. In the event of a Grade 1 injury, the recovery trajectory may span approximately 2 weeks, sidelining him for the North London derby, but offering hope for his return in time for Arsenal's massive Premier League clash against Man City, scheduled for October 8th. However, the scenario becomes more challenging if Martinelli's injury is graded as level 2 or 3, as recovery could extend over several weeks or even months. Such an extended absence would undoubtedly be a disappointment for Arsenal, given Martinelli's irrefutable stature as one of their most influential players. Losing Martinelli is obviously a big loss. However, we do have a quality cover, something that Arteta insisted on, which is yet another example of the manager's foresight. Leandro Trossard has filled in brilliantly, and of course, we have the likes of Emile Smith-Rowe, so it's not the end of the world or as damaging as it could have been in previous seasons when we lost key players. Rio Ferdinand says £27 million Arsenal player could be going to the very top now. William Saliba may have only been playing for Arsenal at first team level for just over a season, but he is already one of the best centre-backs in Arsenal's recent history. The Frenchman has been colossal since coming into the fold at the Emirates, and at the age of just 22, the sky is the limit for this young man. Speaking on Filthy Fellas, Rio Ferdinand was asked to give his verdict on the £27 million player, and he says that he thinks the youngster could potentially be headed to the very top of this sport. In fact, Ferdinand stated that he couldn't even predict whether or not Saliba would ultimately end up being better than he is once he has fully developed. Ferdinand gave his verdict on the defender. I think potentially he could be top tier, potentially. Ferdinand was then asked, could he be better than you? Ferdinand concluded, who knows? We are not exaggerating when we say that William Saliba could ultimately end up being one of the best defenders in the world. In all honesty, there is an argument to be made that he is already there, and the scary thing is that he is only going to get better. The Frenchman is a truly rare talent. He has everything you would want from a modern-day centre-back, and he is in a team that will only grow and improve alongside him. Saliba may well go down as one of the best signings in modern Arsenal history. Ferdinand knows a good centre-back when he sees one, and he may be right about Saliba going to the top. Team Sherwood says Arsenal now have a player who is miles better than Granit Xhaka. Declan Rice arrived at Arsenal as the biggest signing of their summer transfer window, and it's fair to say that he hasn't disappointed so far. The midfielder has lived up to all expectations so far in the Arsenal midfield, as he has dominated big games, and he has even already scored a huge goal for the Gunners. Rice has been brilliant for Arsenal so far, and according to Team Sherwood, speaking on the No Tippy Tappy Football podcast, the England international is already proving to be a massive upgrade on Granit Xhaka, claiming that he will be a legend by the time he leaves Arsenal. Sherwood spoke highly on the midfielder. He said, he is a massive upgrade on Xhaka, who was there for Arsenal last season. It's a big improvement to the midfield, and he has taken to it like a duck to water. Declan is one of the players who everyone loves. Fans love him, teammates love him, and ultimately the manager always loves him. He was a legend when he left Arsenal, and he will be a legend when he leaves Arsenal. We agree with Sherwood that Rice is looking better than Xhaka, but he hasn't really replaced the Swiss star in this team. Indeed, Rice has played more the Thomas Partey role so far this season, with Kai Havertz acting as the Xhaka replacement, And in all honesty, Kai hasn't looked up to the task. Perhaps moving Rice into that Xhaka role and playing Partey alongside him upon his return from injury could be the way forwards for Arsenal, but as things stand, their midfield balance is looking a bit off compared to last season due to Havertz's continued underperformance. Romano says Arsenal feel important 22 years old will be one of the best players in his position for many years. Arsenal defender Jurriën Timber suffered a long-term injury, and Fabrizio Romano has shared why the club didn't get a replacement for him this summer. It was a great transfer window for Arsenal as they signed some top players, with Timber being one of them. The defender also looked good in pre-season. Sadly, in their first game of the season, the Gunners player suffered an ACL injury, and this will see him out for many months. Many believe that the Gunners may look to get another player in due to the severity of the injury, but they didn't, and Romano has reported why. With so many competitions and the fact that they have to compete with Manchester City in the Premier League, it may have been a shock to see that Mikel Arteta didn't add more squad depth. Romano was asked why Arsenal didn't sign a replacement for the injured Timber. Speaking on the Here We Go podcast, he said, they decided against signing a player because their idea was very clear in the final 2-3 weeks of the window. If they find the right opportunity, a good player who is not going to create a problem for Jurriën Timber when he is going to return, because Arsenal want Timber to feel important. As I mentioned before, he is a player for the future of the club, Romano said. Not just the present, they wanted him not to feel under pressure with another centre back joining the club in the final days of the window. So, in case they had an opportunity or a loan deal or something like that, that was to be considered. But on the market, there were no players, I believe, available for Arsenal, so they decided not to go for a panic buy to protect their squad. They are very happy with the choice they made in the defense, and they are waiting for Timber because people at Arsenal believe Timber is going to be one of the best players in his position in the Premier League in many, many years. Arsenal captain signs a new 5-year contract until 2028. Martin Odegaard has signed a new 5-year contract that will keep him at Arsenal until the summer of 2028. The 24-year-old Norway midfielder joined the Gunners from Real Madrid initially on loan in January 2021 before signing a permanent 4-year deal that August with a club option to extend his stay for a further 12 months. Odegaard has made 112 appearances for Arsenal in all competitions, scoring 27 goals and providing 15 assists. Odegaard said, signing a new contract was a really easy decision for me for lots of reasons. Mainly what we are doing right now as a club is special and I want to be a part of that. I am really excited for what's to come here. I have found a place where I can be really settled and call my home. My story is a bit different, maybe as I moved around different clubs since I was 16. At Arsenal, since the first day, I have felt great, and this is definitely my home now. I just want to say thanks to everyone working at the club and, of course, our fantastic supporters. I will continue to give everything to bring success to this club in the years to come. Speaking at a press conference ahead of the North London derby at home to Tottenham on Sunday, live on Sky Sports, Mikel Arteta said of Odegaard's new deal, it's great news for the club and great news for the team. I'm really happy for him. It just shows there are many ways to make it. At the end, it's about finding a place where you are comfortable and value it, and you can express your talent. He is loved by everybody. At every early age, he had huge expectations. He made his debut with the national team at 15. He played with 5 different teams in 3 different countries, and that's a lot. Martin is who he is today because of what he has been through in those years. You notice him around the building all the time because he is doing the right things. When he needs to get into fun, he is quite funny. I am really happy to have him as a captain. Ian Wright says 26-year-old Arsenal player will become undroppable if he carries on. Arsenal have chopped and changed quite a bit this season. Indeed, while the Gunners had a very settled starting 11 last season, Mikel Arteta has made a fair few changes this term. Gabriel Magalhaes had a spell on the bench at the start of the season. Kai Havertz and Fabio Vieira are jostling for position in the midfield right now, while Arteta can't even settle on a goalkeeper at the moment. There has also been a fair bit of rotation up front. Edin Nketiah started the season due to an injury to Gabriel Jesus, but even after Jesus' return to injury, Nketiah has had his chances, including a start in a massive game against Manchester United. However, Jesus has now reclaimed his starting berth, and he has been brilliant lately. Speaking on the Wright's House podcast, Ian Wright has been full of praise for Jesus, claiming that the conversation about whether or not he or Nketiah will soon be over if the Brazilian keeps playing this way. Wright spoke about Jesus becoming undroppable. He said, "If I am Eddie and I am in Eddie's shoes, I make sure that when I am on there, whatever half chance I get, I take it, and I am ruthless with it, because if this guy is fit, he must play. He brings it to another place. I am not saying this as a knock to Eddie, but he has to do something like that so people aren't so worried when Jesus isn't around. Jesus is an entity on his own with the way he is playing, his work rate, his finishing, everything he does, that is his main strength. Eddie is taking chances. He could have had a couple more at the start of the season to put him into that, and he has to do that because if Jesus continues like he is, there is no conversation. He is so good." Wright is spot on. The striker debate at Arsenal will soon be well and truly over if Jesus keeps playing the way he is. However, Edin Nketiah does have the power to change that. As Wright says, Nketiah has to take every half chance that comes to him from now on in order to keep this debate alive. And if he does, maybe he could usurp Jesus at some point. There is certainly a healthy competition ongoing between Nketiah and Jesus right now. Arsenal's Mikel Arteta says there is one man at Tottenham he just loves. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has claimed that he really likes Tottenham Hotspur manager Postecoglou. The two North London Giants face each other in the derby at the Emirates this weekend, and this is a game neither club can lose. Arteta has a good record in this fixture, but this will be Postecoglou's first taste of this iconic clash. Arsenal boss Mikel Arteta has been one of the best managers in the Premier League for a couple of years now. He had his fair share of issues when he first got the job, but he has completely transformed this Gunners side over the last few years, both on and off the pitch. Postecoglou will be hoping to do a similar job at Tottenham. He has won over the fans very quickly at Spurs, which is a huge positive, and it's now time for results against the big boys. Arteta has proven he has what it takes to deliver. It's now Postecoglou's turn. The Arsenal boss was asked about his counterpart, and he admitted that he really likes the Australian. He said, as per Football Daily, "I really like him. I had players and I know players that had him, and they always speak really highly of him. That's not a coincidence. You can tell straight away he is fitting in the right way. That's the beauty of this league, that we have top managers." The rivalry between Tottenham and Arsenal is fierce, but it's clear to see that Arteta fully respects Postecoglou and what he has done at Tottenham. The Spurs boss is a really likable character, isn't he? The way he speaks and carries himself has made fans fall in love with him, and his style of football is extremely attractive as well. That makes this weekend's clash at the Emirates a really exciting one, as both clubs are expected to have a real go at each other, which is something that hasn't been the case in recent years. We can't wait for the derby on Sunday. Come on, you Gunners. As we wrap up today's Arsenal news, remember to stay tuned for daily updates right here on the channel. Don't miss out on the latest updates, so make sure to hit that subscribe button and give us a like if you found this information valuable. Your support means the world to us. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.